This is down where my organic vegan corn dogs are growing. You can see this year is quite a good year for them. And what we're going to do is take some of the leaves and stuff for thatching material. You can see how tall some of this is. We're down here right at the moment. It's just a little dry. But you can see the organic corn dogs down here growing. We're going to take some of this for thatching material for up the shelter. And a few other projects. This is going to be several videos in the future. But, let's take the tracker. We're just going to cut these off. Just keep cutting off until you get the amount that you want gathered up. And take it to your work site. Then I leave it set out and dry for a few days usually. You don't want it to mold. And once they dry, you can tie them in bundles. There's two different ways to do it. Normally I'd let these dry for a few days, but since I'm doing this I really can't. They'll be hung up pretty quick, so they'll dry without molding. This is probably the way to secure them. When they dry they shrink a little bit, so this is the way I've been experimenting with two ways to do this. So I leave these intact. I just peel the dead leaves off. When you've got a big one, they'll have the outside leaves will be pretty well dead. So I'll pull them off. Get a bunch of those stacked up. And then I take a leather needle that they use for sewing up leather with punched holes. They're really blunt. Have a great big eye. They're usually made for like sinew, artificial sinew, things along that line. These are cheap. You can get them almost anywhere. And then I'm using a good cord on this. I can make cord, but for this I want it to last a while. I'll go through, your leaves are wrapped this way, the way they grow. So I just push the whole needle through, and that tends to protect it'll grab all the leaves, that way it won't blow out. I just sew through a bundle of them. That way when they dry and they shrink, they're still held secure. And I'll do, I don't know, 8 or 10 of these like this in a bundle, then tie it. Then I'll sit and let it dry a little bit. And then it goes to the shelter and gets put up. I tried it with grass. The 90-mile-an-hour winds around here pulled it down pretty quick. So we're trying this, and I'm going to go through and tie it a little better through there so it don't want to whip around. This is to keep the clay from washing off the face of it, the front of it, because that seems to be where it's catching it. I'm going to put some over the roof too. tight. These will shrink. And leave the ends out to tie it to your cross members where you hang them up on your shelter. And you use this much to tie it on. There's one bundle. You make a bunch of bundles like this, and pretty soon, if you're doing a roof, you overlap them side by side, and then you can add in, start at the base, then you go up and layer more down, just like shingles. That's one way to do it. The other way I tend to do it is if you separate out a whole bunch of leaves, especially if you're taking the bases to eat or pulling off for cordage and stuff, you'll have a bunch of loose leaves. So the other way I'll do is, these are somewhat dry, they're not usually dry enough quite yet, but pull it really tight because it will shrink some, and this will help keep it from falling apart later. Just tie it in. You can use this for all. Because it lays out, water will hit this and run down the leaves. And if it penetrates in a little bit, it'll hit another leaf, run all the way down. You want to layer these, layer them side by side, pull them together really tight, and then as they open up, they'll run down. And if you've got a big enough shelter, you can run another bundle over where the loose leaves are running past this point. That way you won't get leakage down through in between the bundles. And if you don't, make this part of your ridge line and bend it over. All right, this is where I'm at on the shelter. It's been getting worked on and off. This year's just really sucked for any sort of thing like that. But I've been pulling cattails, cutting them, processing them for another video or several videos. So I decided to use the leaves for this. To thatch it, I tried grass. The grass didn't hold very well. We have had at least 4 90-mile-an-hour winds around here. Really hard rains this year. You can see where it's washed the front a little bit. It's not nearly as bad as I was expecting. I was expecting this a couple times to come out and just see all the clay on the bottom and bones, the red cedar weaving branches hanging, and that's about it. There's a few poked out. I'm gonna put some clay back. But what I'm gonna do is hang the cattails like that, and some of those are 8 feet long leaves. So that'll shed the rain off of it. I'm gonna go across with the thatching and tie it up a little different. You learn as you go. And it'll probably go down the sides and across the top. But the front and the sides are gonna be the first bit. And then I'm gonna use the cattails to make the door. The blue thing's my stand right there because I can't reach the top.